Good morning, my dear colleagues and students and other faculty members. Welcome you back to the two-day webinar on research methodology and case analysis. And yesterday, we completely devoted our discussion on research methodology. We covered various important aspects like why actually research is important for a student pursuing management education, what's the importance of synopsis, preparation of synopsis before undertaking research, what are the various research, what are the various data collection methods, how to analyze the data, and finally, how to write a project report. And I'm happy that, rather, we are happy that few students have very actively participated in yesterday's discussion. So today, day two, this day is devoted to discuss on case analysis. So case analysis is very important for, again, management students because analysis of case improve creative thinking in this managers who have to take decisions, because managers means you have to take so many decisions. You have to solve day-to-day problems, and you have to solve a few, you have to face some contingency situations and all those things. So that will improve. So case analysis, how to face a given situation, that is more important for the managers. So case analysis, because case analysis means that requires application of mind, thought process. So case analysis improve the decision-making skills, the analytical skills, the creative thinking skills, and ultimately one should arrive at a rational decisions. So how to take a decision to solve a particular problem. And you know that all students or all the managers may not be in a position to take the same similar type of decision. So in case analysis, from the examination's point of view, what we see is how the thinking, how the student actually is analyzing the case, because there is no uniform answer. All the students cannot give the same solution, same answer in the examinations. But what's the perspective of the student, how actually he approached the case, and what is the solution he is providing for the problem given in the case, and how strongly he justify his solution. So this is actually the main focus which the examiner see while evaluating the script of a student. So normally the main problem which we face while examining the answer scripts of the students is, most of the students, because normally after the case we give some 2-3 questions. The student, they repeat question 1 and just they are repeating the paragraph 1 from the case. Then question 2, then repeat the paragraph 2 from the case, and question 3, maybe some paragraph 3 from the case. That's it. They are not at all paying any attention to understand the problem. First of all, the case should be understood thoroughly. So to understand the problem and then think creatively, what are the possible solutions to solve the problem? And this is the best solution according to you from the point of view of the decision maker. So you know that management students, both the students pursuing MBA program and also diploma programs, they have case analysis under section C, which carries a weightage of 20 marks. And even though case analysis is not must for the students pursuing MBA hospital and healthcare management program and CHMO management programs, but you are all prospective managers, aspiring managers. So this case analysis, understanding, attending this session and understanding how to analyze a case, how to take decisions, that will help you to improve your decision-making skills and to flourish better in your career. So today, actually, we have again 4 sessions. With this brief intro, I request Professor Pawar to brief you about what is case and what are the different approaches for case analysis. And the second session, the first technical session, is on case analysis relating in marketing area. Professor Anil Ramesh is a resource person for the session. And there is some flip of the second session in the forenoon, and also the second session in the afternoon. That is actually operations management session after the first session in marketing area. Then we take up the session on case analysis or operations management. Dr. Lakshmi is the resource person for the session. And with a lunch break of half an hour from 1 to 1:30, then afternoon first session is on case analysis in the HR area, human resource management, and Dr. Naeem is a resource person. And the last session, last technical session is on a case analysis in finance area, financial management area, and Professor Ravi is a resource person. And the last session, that is 3:30 to 4:30, in interaction with all the resource persons. Even after the presentation of the cases by the resource persons, I request all the participants to solve their doubts and participate in case analysis very actively. I think 38 members have joined the session so far, and I request more members to join because this is very important, not only from the examination point of view, to face your to face the challenges in the career. So with this brief intro, now I request Professor Pawar, to just brief the students about what is case and what are the approaches. Oh, hello viewers. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. So sorry, there is some power problem in the university campus, and it seems there are frequent disturbances in the presentation of Professor Pawar. And Professor Pawar actually has presented a very good case. And I'm proud to say that our university is one of the universities which is including case analysis as part of the assessment procedure since the beginning. So many universities, case study in so many universities, assessment procedure case study is not there in the assessment process. Maybe they may discuss in the class, but it is not part and parcel of the assessment process. But still, we are continuing case analysis in our MBA and MBA Healthcare and diploma programs. Now, I request, because already we are running late, now I request Professor Anil Ramesh to start his session on marketing, case analysis in marketing. And before actually I request Anil, there is a brief, let me present Anil Ramesh, CB, in a very brief manner. Professor Anil Ramesh did his MBA from Osmania University, and he bagged the overall 7th rank and first rank in marketing. And he has PhD in management from Osmania University. Overall, Anil Ramesh has 36 years of experience both in industry and in academics. He has 10 years of industrial experience and has worked in companies like SCL, RES Limited, Usman Solar Systems, etc. And he has worked as marketing manager as even in Muscat also. His 26 years of academic experience includes at CBIT Hyderabad, and he also worked in Ethiopia. He all worked in the Shivashwani Institute of Management and also in Dehradun and ICBM School of Business Excellence, Hyderabad. And Professor Anil has widely traveled and read, and Anil, he loves to read, write, and share his experiences with others. He pens a highly popular blog titled Dr. Anil Hyper Marketing Musings. .blogspot.com, which has almost 7.5 lakh visitors. I hope, Anil. And Anil has published more than 170 articles in Hands India, and he has also published almost around 20 articles and other 22 books in the field of marketing management. He has conducted almost around 90 MDP programs. Professor Anil is right now working as Professor Marketing and Strategy at ICBM School of Business Excellence, a premier B school located in Hyderabad. Now, with this brief intro, I request Anil to start his session.
Good morning, madam. Very kind of you to give me a very nice introduction. And I'm audible, right, madam?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you, madam. First of all, a big thank you for Kiranmay, madam, Anand Pawar, sir, and B.R. Ambedkar Open University, because I want to first share something from my heart. Whatever madam said is correct, but I have a very deep and emotional connect with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. I'm saying this with a particular purpose because I don't know how many of the students realize there is a very good strategy of both Pawar sir and Kiran madam, because they're doing this very deliberately on the 1st of September, because as you all know that 5th of September is a Teachers' Day, and it's a very, very auspicious start for all the students. I really congratulate you on your this step to you and also the students, madam, because today it is very rainy. There is a lot of power cuts, and I find 37 very enthusiastic students who are on and who are very eager to listen. So I wanted to share my own experiences very quickly about great teachers who had a impact on me, and they include Kiran Mai madam. I'm very privileged that sharing this screen. I remember in '97, I was a very raw a
Yes.
person from the industry. Madam encouraged me a lot. I did my first TV program under the madam's guidance. I was shivering with fright and tension, but madam said, no, no, it is all right. And she encouraged me. And she encouraged me even to write books. And one senior professor said that how can you have a person who doesn't have a PhD to write text? And madam supported and said, don't worry, within 2, 3 years, he will get a PhD. So thank you very much, madam. I remember your guidance as a faculty and teacher, Professor Sudhakar, Anand Pawar, Ravindranath, so many Radha Krishna. It has been a very nice journey with B.R. Ambedkar. Thank you very much for all that. Students, please remember that is how you have to maintain relationships and networks. And whenever B.R. Ambedkar says anything, I'll be ready to volunteer at any given point of time. So, as Anand Pawar's very interesting talk
It's
was
your
going on.
humbleness, Anil.
Yeah, no,
It's
madam,
your humbleness.
no, ma'am. That comes from my heart.
Yeah.
I have great admiration as you as a person. You have taught me a lot about Open University system, and there is I in fact take these learnings into my classroom also, and tell them how you were giving us 2 hours lectures in Pragati College, and how students were so studious even for a post lunch session. I used to have 70, 80 students, and some of them have reached very good positions, and they remember you, they remember me, they remember Sudhakar sir very fondly. Murthy sir very fondly, Naidu sir very fondly. So that association is always there. So I was coming back to what Professor Pawar was saying. Case study is a method of learning which he and Kiran madam has rightly been saying, which can never be, which is never part of any formal education system like BSc or BCom. Here you are put into a challenging situation and you have to come out with a solution. And Anand Pawar sir was very rightly saying that there is no correct or wrong solution. It is the ability to search for a solution that becomes more important than the solution itself. It is the journey towards the solution that is more important. And frequently we take very popular companies like Kellogg's and Coca-Cola. The students might be getting a doubt as why we take such very big companies, because only to tell you that if these companies can fail, any company can fail. For example, Dr. Pawar was talking about a book publishing company. So book publishing company might, let us take, has a turnover of maybe 400 crores, 500 crores. Kellogg's is a giant. It has got maybe a turnover of $80 billion or $100 billion. And if those companies can make a mistake, so can any company. So we will take two very famous examples. One will be about Kellogg's, other will be about Bisleri. And we will try to look into depth. And here I'm going to give you all in one stretch, because typically a case study has to go on for 1.5 to 2 hours and there has to be a lot of discussion. But we understand that there are some network problems. You might not be able to get onto your videos and audio. So we are just I'll try to run the entire case, and I am also sharing the Word documents with Kiranmay madam and the department. These will be shared to you, both the Kellogg's case, which is around 5, 6 pages, and we also have the Bisleri case, which will run into another 5, 6 pages. And we will try to run this through. And I hope that whatever questions which are there, we will try to take it around 4:30 in the evening. So here we go. So even though sir has he told you what are the important points about a case study, let me again reiterate. First, read the case thoroughly. So even in the exam also, a lot of weightage is given for a case study. Especially I was amazed that right in 97, 98 itself, B.R. Ambedkar Open University was very strict that even though affiliated colleges were not giving cases, the concept of a case was always there. So first we need to read the case thoroughly and read it again. So most of the cases tend to be small, maybe 200 words, 300 words. And I don't think for an exam they will exceed more than 300 words. So read it again. So, and underline the important points. So underlining the important points, and Dr. Pawar was making a very important point that this is not precis writing. If you simply write the same facts which are mentioned in the case, you are going to get very minimal points. Let us take the 10 marks, you might get only 1 or 2 marks if you just simply write the same facts. Try to understand the symptoms and the problems. So there are two different things. One is a symptom, one is a problem. Suppose if I have a stomach ache is a symptom and it is not a problem. So if any doctor only treats me for my stomach ache, he will be called Bhutavaidyudu or a RMP or a person who is not very skilled. So a skilled doctor will take it to the problem of what is causing the symptom of a stomach ache is more important. It could be indigestion, it could be BP, it could be sugar, it could be so many other conditions. It could even be something dangerous like a heart attack or even a cancer. So we need to understand the manifestation of the problem. For example, Power sir was saying about lack of motivation, people coming late, leaving early, people start fighting in an organization. These are symptoms and they are not problems. So the deeper problem has to be investigated. So symptoms are the manifestation of the problem. In many cases, you could do the SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis of the case itself. What is our company? Where is its competitive position? What is going wrong with it? What are our company's strengths and weaknesses? What are the opportunities and threats that the company is facing? For example, in on Kellogg's case, they saw that their strength was that they were a very established old company, and their weakness was they did not understand the Indian market at all. Opportunity was that India is a huge marketplace. When they entered, we were 95 crore. Now we are almost touching 135 crores. Students, please remember, India is not one market. It is many, many, many markets in one. So it is a huge marketplace. And even if 1/10 of the population buys any of these Western products, they'll have more market than entire Europe put together. So India, for obvious reason, looks very, very attractive. Our demographic dividend means that the age group of 15 to 35 in another 10 years will be the maximum in the world. Right now, it is China which is having this demographic dividend of 15 to 35. So we have a large number of young people. They are ambitious, they are net savvy, they can speak English, but at the same time, we come with a lot of other problems, but we're not going to those. So then once you do the SWOT analysis, it is better to write the case facts. So which are, maybe you'll get 1 or 2 points, 1 or 2 marks if you just write the case facts. And then what is important is once you find out what are your major problems and minor problems, try to identify or find out if multiple solutions exist to solve the problem. Please remember, in crisis situations, there could only be one solution. But if it is a non-crisis solution, there could be multiple solutions which could exist to solve the problem. So suggest the most viable solution. So please don't say that if there is a 10 crore company that I'm suggesting that you go for a advertising budget of 50 crores. Have common sense. So that whatever your solutions that you are providing in your answers should be viable, in the sense that if at all Kellogg's company were to look at your case solution, they'd say, yeah, there is some merit, there is some logic in it. Implement the solution and suggest KPI, key performance indicators. It is not simply you tell something and say that I leave it to the managers. You should implement the solution and say in what ways you are going to see if the solution is working out or not. So whatever we are trying to work out, whatever has to be end results, we call them key performance indicators to know if it has worked or not. And diagnostic post diagnostics has to be done, in the sense that we have to test if it has worked, and if it has not worked, you have to suggest corrective action. So all in this, if you are able to present it this way, I am sure most teachers would give you 8 or 9. And Anand Powers was very correct that there is nothing called as a right solution or the wrong solution, but these points have to be done. You have to suggest solutions, and why these solutions are suggested also, you should give the reasoning. So let's go into the next one. So Kellogg's is a very big food giant, and in the late 1990s, 80s rather, Kellogg's sales had reached a peak. So very soon you'll be studying what is called as marketing management, where a product will be introduced then it will grow, then it will mature. And after maturity, what will happen is the sales will start to decline because there are only n number of customers. And those n number of customers will only buy that much of the product that they can. And once they buy that much of a product, they cannot buy anything more. So occupying 40% of the market share in the US. So they were doing very, very well in the US. At that time, they were present in 18 countries with an annual sale of 6 billion. So 1 billion is roughly around 8,500 crores. So that makes it around 47,000 crores for this company and more than that. So 51,000 crores is a huge what to say turnover in the 80s. So if you can adjust it for inflation, it should be around 90,000 crores. It's a huge turnover. Just to put things in perspective, the annual budget of Telangana should be around 2 lakh crores. I'm taking a approximate figure, so it is almost half the budget of Telangana. But by 1990s, they realized that there was very little room for growth in their core market. So they were doing well, but the sales were not increasing so much that they can give better return to their stakeholders. And so they were facing some problems. So I just want you to look at this because this is something very interesting. What happens is lots of time we are given because this is just before they were entering into India. So, but this is something that I found very, very interesting because lots of times both the teachers and the students have some assumptions that may or may not be correct. This was one slide that led to almost 30 minutes of discussion in my classroom yesterday. Because before showing the slide, what I told my students is obviously most of the students are from AP and Telangana, with a little bit coming from Chhattisgarh and let us take Bengal and parts of Kerala, Tamil Nadu. So we are a B school. And I was saying, where do you think vegetarianism would be high? A lot of people thought that there will be 30 to 40% of vegetarians in South India, and that North India would be more non-vegetarian. The basic assumption here is that vegetarianism and aggressiveness are connected, and that South Indians are supposed to be more gentle and non-aggressive, and North Indians were because they tend to be a little loud in their behavior, and especially places like Haryana, which has given us a lot of medals in wrestling, kabaddi, and these type of games. There's an assumption that basically people from Haryana, Delhi, Punjab would be more meat eaters. And obviously, students got an idea that there would be a lot of vegetarianism in Gujarat. But when I showed this particular slide, there was pin drop silence in the class because our assumptions, unless they're based by facts, most probably are not correct. If you see this shocking visual, if you see the South India, Kerala 3%, Tamil Nadu 2.3%, Andhra 1.7%, Telangana, which means 98.7% of Telangana people eat meat. And then it is slightly less in Andhra Pradesh, Orissa 2.6, 3% Jharkhand, 1.4% Bengal. And if you see Meghalaya 5, Arunachal Pradesh 4, Nagaland 2. So what it says is predominantly South Indian states, again I'm saying this with a lot of caution and respect, predominantly, I said not all because Karnataka has got 21%. If you leave aside Karnataka, predominantly South Indians eat more of meat. And let us not assume that when I say meat, it automatically means chicken or mutton, because if you look at Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they're more fish eaters. That is economic common sense because in places in Andhra Pradesh, Kiran, my madam will definitely vouch for me that sometimes fish is more cheaper than vegetables. And in coastal areas, so they simply go to the sea and buy maybe a small, what do you say, half a kg, 1 kg of fish can be bought for 20 rupees. They can make a pulusu or something. So economic conditions, Telangana people definitely are meat lovers. I'm sure among the 39, at least 33, 34 can smell the delicious smell of meat coming from the kitchen. But again, you should be cautious that when you say that coastal states, the coastal state of Karnataka, even though it has got a beautiful coast, is 21% vegetarian. And if you look at Maharashtra, even though it has got a huge coastal line has got 40%, which is vegetarian, and 61% in Gujarat, which is actually shocking in the sense that even though there is prohibition, even though Gujaratis are known for their love for vegetarianism, it is 40% non-veg. And the biggest shock comes that Rajasthan, a landlocked state, has got 75% of vegetarians, followed by Haryana at 70, then at Punjab at 67. Then if you understand where they're getting all this protein, which the meat is very meat eaters are so very fond of, then we realize that they eat a lot of cheese and paneer, which is nothing but butter. And it goes all the way up to Delhi 40%, Uttar Pradesh 47, Uttarakhand 27, Himachal 53, even up to Jammu and Kashmir also. There are a lot of people who are vegetarian. So I'm just showing you that our assumptions have got no place in a subject, a social science called management. You need to back your whatever you're saying with data. So even in a case study, when you're talking about anything, unless you're supported by case facts which are given in the case, people will laugh at you. There is no place for assumptions and our own knowledge which we think. So nowadays we have a beautiful wonderful asset called as Google, and there is also Meta AI and Chat GPT, where we can go in and Google and try to find out. But one caution is, don't ever take whatever is given in Google or Chat GPT or on Meta AI as gospel truth. You please check it once again and again. There are fact checker websites also where you can put a matter onto the website and try to see whether that is correct or not. So let us come back. So I'm now giving you a broad idea as why Kellogg's choose India. It choose it for three reasons. The large market share. So as you all know, India is a huge country. It is the seventh biggest in the world and now has got the most people. It's the most populous country in the world. Decent democratic process, mostly safe and religious harmonies, a variety of culture, a lot of languages, increasing middle class with slightly better disposable incomes. At that time, it was having 950 million, so 95 crore population. So this is one of the things that attracts most companies. So these are all the case facts. Market share. So they said they understood that Indian market is tough to capture. So India, unlike other markets, has got its deep cultural nuances about everything, language, food. So it is not an easy market to capture, but they realized it. So their assumptions or their expectations were only that even if they capture 2% of the customer breakfast habit, their earnings would be, they'd exceed those in the USA. So they entered with a lot of expectations. And what prompted them was the LPG liberalization, privatization, and globalization of our ex-Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, backed by the then Finance Minister Manmohan Singh. So India went through rapid liberalization. Government had removed the barriers to international trade that were present before. Most students would be surprised that in the 80s when we were studying, so from the late 70s, from 1977 onwards, in fact 1975 onwards, till 1987, for 12, 13 years, India did not have any foreign products. Yes, you heard it right. We never had Coca-Cola, we never had Pepsi, we had only Campa-Cola, we had Thumbs Up, we never had any of these foreign bikes, we only had Bajaj scooters, we only had Ambassador cars. So India said that all these foreign companies either have to dilute their equity, or if they don't want to dilute equity, they have to exit. So Pepsi and Coke had exited out when only by 1989 Pepsi came in with a name called Leher Pepsi, and slowly by 1990 when all the foreign companies returned. So Kellogg's also thought, let us also take this advantage of LPG, and they also came into India. So the start. So if you see, LPG happened in 1991. So Kellogg's came to India in 1994, and it set up a manufacturing plant in Taloja in Maharashtra in 1994. Invested in and built the breakfast. Let me tell you, you should be careful. Invested and built the breakfast cereal market in the organized setup. So there are a lot of unorganized Tela street sellers, fruit sellers. They're also in the breakfast business, but we call them unorganized because it is a setup that is totally proprietor run, and they don't maintain any accounts, and it is a day-to-day activity. But they entered into, in a formal way, in an organized breakfast market, they entered, and they wanted to fight it out with the existing players. So this is what Kellogg's head of marketing said much later. So he did not actually say it in 1994 itself. This gyan, as we call it in marketing, came much later, maybe in 97, 98, and I will read it twice. Mothers know what they want and when. We cannot push our offerings to them without giving them a reason they value. So, students, please remember marketing is all about customer value. So, if you don't value whatever the marketer is giving, you will never buy it. In fact, David Ogilvy, the guru of advertising, in fact, we call it the father of advertising, once said that the customer is not a fool. She is either your mother, wife, or your daughter. So, what my mother, what my wife, and what my daughter will not buy as a customer, how can I push it to other mothers, other people who have children, other daughters? So we need to be very careful that even though some of our mothers might be illiterate, they might not have so-called formal education, they are very, very smart. They are not literate, but they're smart, they're educated. They know what is good for their family. And please remember, we have survived even before Kellogg's and other companies were there. And our traditional wisdom should be respected. And we'll just see what will happen if somebody tries to tell us that our Indian culture and values are not good. And we'll try to thrust what is there in the Western culture among us. So this is what he said. Mothers know what they want and when. So we cannot push our offerings to them without giving a reason they value. This is what the head of marketing at Kellogg said. And then please remember, we are in a peculiar category called cereals, which is a breakfast. Here, the mother is the customer, which means the mother buys, but it is the child who are the consumer. So it is a three-step process. In most of the cases, the decision to buy is made by the mother, but it is consumed mostly by the children and obviously by the elders also. This was one very critical thing that comes out in this case study, that they thought we will directly target the children for the taste and the fun and the color and understand. And I'm not saying they don't know, but simply maybe it was like an undercurrent that they thought that we will directly position it as a fun product for the children, and somewhere down the line, the entire communication strategy was not exactly correct. So, globally, Kellogg's cornflakes were positioned on the fun and taste platform. So, if you go to any supermarket, the packaging, which we call it a silent salesman, are very, very attractive. They have cartoon figures. They are very eye catching, and the children actually simply grab them. The emphasis of call this Kellogg's cornflakes is the crispiness of its flakes. So most of the participants, if they like cornflakes, they must have realized that it is a crunchiness. So when you put it in your milk, when you're eating, you feel the crunchiness of the flakes. And in India, it positioned to families, households on the health platform. So they said that it is very, very healthy if you eat our cornflakes. If you look at when you're trying to do the case study, it is very obvious that Kellogg's was in a way very correct. So they have a lot of Harvard, Stanford's, a lot of IIMs, and so they knew what they were doing. So if you see fun and taste is good, crispiness of the flakes was a unique selling proposition. Nothing wrong in saying I'm very healthy and you should have a healthy breakfast. And emphasis was also on the nutritional benefits. So we are healthy, we are very nutritious. This was some of the facts that were clearly coming out. So let's see this video, which will show how this entire thing played out. So if you see this very dramatic, well-made ad of the 1994-95, they were saying that they were trying to link the academic performance of the children to having Kellogg. So if you want to do one more lap in the swimming pool, if you want to solve one more problem, give your son and daughter that very healthy, very nutritious breakfast. So this actually was good promotion. So they made an entry. They came in 1994 and they made an entry in 1995. There was huge expectations. See, Kellogg's was actually not exactly wrong in their assumptions that they'll simply rule the Indian market, because if we all remember Kellogg's history, they went into Mexico and they were a huge success, even though they had initial problems. They, in fact, rule the breakfast market everywhere and some parts of Europe also, where when we go to Europe, even if you go to five-star hotels, Kellogg's is always kept there, and people believe that it's a very nutritious, healthy breakfast. But unfortunately, they were competing with the Indian breakfast market, and most of it either was dominated by companies like Mohan's. Mohan's was a product offering of Mohan Meekins. And then we have companies like MTR. MTR was very well entrenched, and MTR had an advantage that they have offer how to say breakfast items like poha, upma, ready-made idlis, rava idlis, mixes, vada mixes. So their product offering was much more robust, much more diversified, and their distribution systems were stronger. So, but anyhow, there are huge expectations, and then the reality hit them very badly. Okay, so before that, Kellogg's, being a professional company, did a lot of preparations, and they went in for a launch. They did thorough market research. They did test marketing where the product was given as free samples. It was put in some select supermarkets. There was they had monitored. They did promotion, and then high quality products. They had the hygienic products. Packaging was of a excellent quality, and marketing strategy was in place. They had high profile, high powered advertising, and then, as they say, the crows came home to roost, which means, to their utter dismay and disbelief, the product was not doing as well as it could. In a typical case study, here there is a big shock from the students, because they're puzzled as what has happened, because this is a case study where a lot of things have to be understood and a lot of things have to be assumed. So this is where, when we have such a great product, when we have such a lovely strategy, when we knew our positioning so very well, why didn't it do at all as expected? So usually what happens is, when a company does not do as well as expected, they do what is called as marketing research. And marketing research came out with some very surprising, shocking, and in some cases very apparent. And sometimes when they say, no, Arey, how is it that they could not think about it? It is so commonsensical. But then it is always said that accounting is easier than strategy, because accounting is a historic subject. So it depends on historical data. And you're making today's decisions, or you're making a balance sheet today based on yesterday's facts and figures. So anybody can be very accurate in accounting, but you will be not very good in strategy, because in strategy, you're making tomorrow's decisions based on today or even yesterday's facts and figures. So always there are chances that when we are trying to look into the market, when we are trying to do something new, there are chances that we will go wrong. But please remember, students, that management is all about decision making. So we need to take decisions. And if you don't take decisions in the future, it will be called procrastination. And we might not go to the top level where we expect to go. So please take decisions, and please expect some of them to fail. Even if a success rate of 70% we can achieve, we'll be called good managers. So let us not have procrastination. Procrastination is the art and science of postponing things. Like the Hindi में हैदराबाद में बोलते हैं जो कल करना उसको तो वो आज करेंगे, आज करना वो कल करेंगे, जो कल करना उसको तो हम करेंगे नहीं. सो कल आज और परसों, और sometimes in Hyderabad they say tarso. Tarso means we will never do. So these are some of the results of the market research. Okay, so first of all, this is the manager who is looking into the screen. Sales were not very encouraging. Lot of challenges were faced. Did market research again, and market research findings literally shook the top management, and the results were very, very unexpected. So there is this fullness factor with the Indian food. We all remember right from our childhood. మన అమ్మ నా అమ్మ అమ్మ ఏమంటుందంటే కడుపు నిండిందా. కడుపు నిండడం అంటే ఏంటంటే యూ షుడ్ ఫీల్ దట్ హెవీనెస్ ఇన్ ద స్టమక్. సో వీ వాంట్ అవర్ స్టమక్ టు ఫీల్ హెవీ, అంటే బాగా టైట్ గా అనిపించాలన్నమాట. సో ఇండియన్ బ్రేక్ఫాస్ట్ is heavy and oily. If you look at lot of this breakfast related reels, they put lot of butter, they put lot of cheese, they put lot of oil. So cornflakes maybe are giving nutrition, but they're not providing that fullness. So cornflakes tend to be light on stomach because you take it with cold milk and there is nothing fried. So maybe they're nutritious, but Indian consumers were feeling that there is no heaviness. So factor number one, they were not heavy. Challenge number two, which I think is a major one. Frankly, if you ask me, I don't like Kellogg's at all. Even when I go to five-star hotels, or sometimes I eat chocos just as a snack, but I'll never put it in milk and eat it. So it's just sort of a snack that I eat when I get bored. So I don't think it's an ideal breakfast. So the diversity of Indian breakfast is amazing. So in our regular classroom, because we have more time, we were doing the dosa count, and the students could come out with 17, 18, 19 varieties of dosa: rava dosa, pesarattu, egg dosa, so many dosas. In fact, in a place near KPHP, there is 99 dosas. So dosas can, so Indian breakfast is full of variety. We have upma, dosa, idli, rava idli, pesarattu, vada, puri, chapati, then paratha, upma, poha upma, atkul upma. So we are not eating the same breakfast every day. We have bread upma, bread pakodi, pulihora, then chitrannam, saddannam. So most Indian breakfast where the mother is at home. So it's a eye-watering variety that we eat. And we are not used to eating the same breakfast every day, except if you go down south, there is a tendency of eating idli, but otherwise we keep on swapping our breakfast every day. The second challenge was the lack of variety. And the third major challenge that was faced is taste preferences. Indians prefer hot and spicy breakfast. Maybe we are a tropical country, and we like a thing. We want to start the day with something hot. So we have hot upma, hot vada. I don't think there is, except pulihora and chaddanam and curd rice. All our breakfasts are either piping hot or they're at room temperature. I don't think there is anything cold that we take early in the morning. I don't think anybody eats ice cream early in the morning. Even though Coke and Pepsi have tried with concepts called Pepsi AM, which is a caffeinated Pepsi. Indians, in fact, most parts of the world, then we have breakfast and then finish it off with uh, lassi, which is again at room temperature, or we try to finish it off at with a hot cup of coffee and tea. So cold and sweet breakfast was misaligned to the Indian culture, which likes their hot and spicy breakfast. The biggest challenge was Kellogg's took the homemaker head on. The Indian homemaker, the mother, she's a fulcrum, she's the Devi, she's the Durga. She was deeply hurt that Kellogg's is questioning her ability to feed her family a healthy and nutritious breakfast. So questioning the nutritiousness of Indian food, whether directly or indirectly, did not go out very well. So she was deeply hurt when you try to say or idli dosa, uttappam was not nutritious, not healthy. It impacted the sentiments of the homemaker. And once it impacted the sentiments of the homemaker, there was a psychological resistance to change. They said, no, no, no. Our family has been eating the same breakfast for hundreds of years. There is nothing wrong. We have got so many Nobel Prize winners. India is doing so well throughout the world. Indians are rocking the US. We are known for our brain power. And why should I change to something just because you want to say? And another, this is product related. Challenge number 5 was you need to have Kellogg's with cold milk. And all our mothers, if you are married, our wives, in fact, we tell our children that early morning you should be having with hot milk and not with cold milk. So consumption of cornflakes has to be done with cold milk. And once we take cornflakes with hot milk, the flakes become soggy. And hot milk and cornflakes don't gel together. And when we are trying to have cornflakes with cold milk, it's and that too sweet, something so very sweet in the morning, it did not gel with the Indian families at all. So head-on positioning, in fact, students should understand that head-on positioning is always not very good when you have an entrenched, what do you say, market or customers. So if you directly take a head-on collision with the Indian homemaker, they simply refuse and said, rubbish, I'll not take. If you look at Nestle Maggie, Nestle and Maggie's strategy is always better. So they never took a head-on positioning and said, don't have your breakfast and have Maggie noodles. They took on what is called in marketing the supplementary positioning tag, which they said it's an ideal snack. So let's see how Nestle did it better. So how Nestle made it better was it made the customers very happy. Again, remember, the customer is a mother. So they made it very easy by saying noodles are easy to prepare, 2 minutes. In fact, if you see their promotion, it says 2 minutes. Easy to serve. Children can make it on their own. It makes the children to have a snack and they can go and play. In Thailand, we call it little hungry. So when a child is coming back from the school at 4 o'clock in the evening, he's said to have little hungry, and he's given maybe two children can share one Maggie with vegetables, and then they go out and play. So by 6 o'clock they're hungry again, and they'll have a proper dinner. So 2 minute noodle was a brilliant positioning strategy that which Nestle tried, which did not, it did not even occur to Kellogg's that we could do the something similar, which means in the morning breakfast, instead of saying don't eat your traditional breakfast and have my noodles, they could have said eat my cornflakes. They could have said eat a little bit of your idli dosa. So instead of having 3 dosas, have 2 dosas and have me also. So it is a me too positioning they should have tried for. So let us see one ad which Maggie does. So that was a terrific marketing strategy from Maggie, where they said 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and this really resonated with the mothers, and they happily went in and made it a market leader in the snack category. So if children are happy, it made children happy because children are finding it a tasty snack. Many customizations are possible. For you can have it with egg, we can have it with tomato, we can have it with a lot of vegetables. Easy to prepare. The consumers loved it. It was their first try at cooking. And these consumers, small children, will go up to be mothers again. and they would encourage their own children to have it. And it was cheap and readily available, very popular among hostels. And best thing is, it was spicy and hot the way Indians like. So Kellogg's learns from its mistakes very, very quickly and moved on to the supplement positioning. And unfortunately, I could not get that particular advertisement. It is a very dramatic ad of a small boy who has got a tricycle, and he goes and first there is something called as a idli dosa puri, and he goes and gets his small tricycle filled in that petrol station, and it shows 73%. So, or 85%. Then he goes to another gas station adjacent, and he gets his tricycle filled with Kellogg's. And Kellogg's, the ones that Kellogg's fuel or whatever cornflakes come in, his tricycle will show 100%. So, what clarity that Kellogg's wanted to do is, it accepted and bowed down to the homemakers, and they said that yes, we did not understand the Indian consumers very well. You please eat whatever you want, and we feel that you are getting great nourishment, you're getting great nutrition, but you're not getting complete nutrition. And they try to shift it from, let us take 85% traditional and rest 15% from Kellogg's. But please remember, this was in the 1995. Things have changed rapidly from 1995 to nowadays. A lot of breaking away of the nuclear families and joint families, and becoming more what to say, Dings, double income, no kids. There are a lot of living relationships. So families are marrying late, they're having children late. One child syndrome has come up. So there is a lot of change from 1995 to 2024. Most of the homemakers don't prepare a breakfast any longer. So I think their fight over the last 30 years is slowly giving them results, because India has become more modernized, and we see a lot of Western, we consume lots of Western television and OTTs, and people don't have the time to prepare a traditional breakfast like they do. So I think Kellogg's had what is called as a first mover advantage. And even though it is not a very rosy story, they still command a very healthy market leadership in the organized breakfast market, though not to the level that they expected. So things are definitely changing, but still not to the level that they expected. So Kellogg's also went in for a product diversification, and they went in for a lot of rice-based flakes. So wheat flakes, because India is more into rice and wheat. So wheat flakes, rice flakes, honey crunches, all brand, choco. Then they realized that it could be sold as snacks also at 5 rupees and 10 rupees. So Kellogg's chocos and chocolate puffs, and they were targeting the children, and they're trying to maybe follow what Nestle was doing. So they started to Indianize. They went in for Maza branded series of fusion cereals. They bought in Indian flavors like mango, coconut rice, less priced packs to cater to price conscious markets, because initially they entered their price. The 1 kgs were around 400, 500 rupees. And in 1995, at 500 rupees, we could buy around 20 kgs of rice. And Indian women, Indian homemakers are very value conscious. They would say, why would I waste for one packet, 1 kg of Kellogg's, when I can buy 20 kgs of rice? So trial packs were given. Please remember, they're a master at marketing. So they went in for a lot of modernization. They went in, this is post, when they realized that they're not doing very well. They went in for less priced packs. Trial packs were given. And what they've done very well is, they understood that their USP in a way did not work for them, in a sense that their USP was health, their USP was nutrition. And they very quickly realized that Indians were eating breakfast that were not very nutritious, and they were actually, uh, they induced more calories, and consumers were putting on more weight. And especially homemakers and working women, they're conscious about their weight. So Kellogg's K targeted the weight conscious consumers, and we have celebrities like Deepika Padukone who were part of their campaign. And they said if you eat a Kellogg's K with lot of iron, you would lose weight. So this another repositioning strategy they tried, where they tried to say that it is not only nutritious, and if you eat Kellogg's for 2 weeks, you will lose 2 kgs. So let's look at an ad. So one thing you cannot deny is that Kellogg's knows how to correct and how to catch on. So recently, Kellogg's even came out with Kellogg's Amma Upma also. So this is where I think things are going little overboard. So Kellogg's Upma, I think the strategy was to take on MTR which has got ready-made Upma packs. But to me, frankly, this speaks of opportunism, and at a level, it is very deep, thought-provoking also, in a sense that I'm not saying they're accepting the defeat, but they're only saying that we understand Indian market is very, very different. And if Upma Kellogg's, if it is sitting next to their regular Kellogg's, when I'm picking Amma Upma from Kellogg's, is it good for the Kellogg's packet sitting next to it? I'm not very sure. So Kellogg's came to India, chest thumping and with lot of swagger. They had conquered the world, and India was supposed to be another notch on their gun. So I'm easily curling it. So they were definitely a market leader in the breakfast food in the world, though, and thought that they'll capture India just as they had captured the US and the Europe. Yes, the bland breakfast habits of the Europeans and the Americans were easy to break. Basking in confidence, Kellogg's made grand plans. It poo-pooed the Indian breakfast menu. The promotion was clear. Your breakfast is not good, not healthy, not nutritious. And the positioning was me only. These are some of the things that you should definitely mention. The Indian homemaker did not like the assault on their sanctum sanctorium. So for a homemaker, the kitchen is her temple. So they royally snubbed the MNC, multinational company. Eating humble pie, Kellogg tried out Indian versions of the conflicts and changed to a reconciliatory Me Too positioning. Eat whatever you want, but please eat Kellogg's too. Even that does not seem to have worked. So if you can't fight them, join them seems to be the Kellogg's motto. They have started selling Indian breakfast items and have zeroed in on the humble upma. And now the positioning is try me along with many others. This is surprising. With all its effort, Kellogg would have created a hardcore loyal customer base of cereal eaters. So niche though, there were maybe 1%, 2% people who are eating their Kellogg's with cold milk. And if you do this type of change in positioning all the time, even they might get confused. So things to ponder. This is where you should always mention in a case. These are the things that decision makers like you should be thinking. There is a danger that even that customer base might shy away from Kellogg's. They bought Kellogg's as it is an aspirational product. What I mean by an aspirational product is people who are eating Kellogg's at a very subconscious level are trying to mimic the behavior of American citizens whom they admire and whom they want to emulate. So if Kellogg's also starts to sell Indian breakfast, that identity that they have with US citizens might be taking a beating. So and Kellogg's is selling upma now. Appears that Kellogg's is caught between a stone and a hard place. Would my mother, my Amma, would Amma believe that Kellogg's makes better upma than herself? I doubt it. So my mother or my wife can make better upma than any Kellogg's chef who has been trained in whichever hotel management institute in the world. Now Kellogg's has to slug it out with Maggie, Hippie Noodles, MTR, Bambino, and even the humble cart seller at every street corner. So just to give you one rough estimate to wind up this first case study. In fact, I had two case studies, but its time is already 12:15. So Kellogg's India, please remember this is only among the branded or organized cereal market. Kellogg's has got 49%. And if you look, one category that is starting to dominate the oats, Quaker oats, we have got 9%. Marico, that is Safola's brand, has got 10%. Braggery has got 4. HUL, again, but it's oats condition oats. So if you look, this is the threat that will come to Kellogg's, which is basically corn based. That 10 plus 9 plus 4 is 23% coming from oats. So that's another big challenge that they're going to face. Then Express Food is 2%, and Avesta has got 2%, and others include the 20%. So, madam, you want me to continue because I have another case study. It's already at 12:16, or you want me to stop and the case study I can share?
Yeah, how much time it will take, Anil?
Maybe another 15 minutes, madam.
I'm afraid. Can you please share the case study because
Yeah.
it's almost
That is what, madam. It
12:20.
is 12:20.
Yes,
I
yes.
will share the case study.
If
And
you just brief them within 5 minutes and then share the case study, okay?
okay, I'll do that, madam. That's a
Yeah, just
wonderful idea.
brief it within 5 minutes and
Yeah,
share the case study to the student.
I'll show maybe around 12:25. Can I stop?
Yeah, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So very quickly, we will try to look at another hallmark case study of a Parle Agro. Parle Agro tried to break the monopoly of Bisleri, because please remember, mineral water again was another alien category for us, because we were used to drinking bottled water, and we used to drink water directly from the tap. So surprisingly, both the competitors are brothers of each other. Prakash and the competitor, uh, so both of them were brothers. They were trying to slug it out. So maybe if I were to say, you can be relatives anywhere, but not in business. So the basic thing came from Parle, which has got Bisleri, and they were hugely popular. They had Fruity, Limca, Thumbs Up. So when Bisleri wanted to make an attempt to come into the bottled, we call it bottled pure water, the challenges faced were lack of awareness and mostly used by foreigners. And Bisleri was a huge market leader, and it had become generic. Generic in the sense that whenever people wanted mineral water, they used to ask for Bisleri. So Bisleri was mineral water, and water was Bisleri. So they had a huge problem. So we'll simply skip this generic product. So when a brand becomes a product, we call it generic. So yeah, they were huge. Um, there were barriers for entry, but in this case, barriers for entry were very low. So, which means anybody could enter into this Bisleri mineral water manufacturing. So, they were sold at 8 to 9 rupees. And the problems is most travelers carried their own water bottles, and they were content to even drink tap water. And when people wanted to buy one mineral water, they used to go and say, "Ek Bisleri do." So that was the type of brand recall that Bisleri had. So, and strangely, it's a very, why I picked up this case study was the water in the bottle costs less than the bottle itself. The bottle cost is more, and the transportation cost is more, and the packaging cost is more. It's a very peculiar product that we're paying less for the product, but we're paying more for the packaging and transportation and stuff like that. So vendors did not have any particular brand specificity. They would give whatever brand. So it was not very easy to get into such a marketplace. New entrants had relatively, they were at a disadvantage. Like um, they could not get into and get a market foothold. Fight costs were very high. So you have to have a lot of local manufacturing plants. And once you want to have local manufacturing plants, the cost would go up. So what this company wanted was, it wanted to increase the health consciousness. And this is where they said that market was poised for a takeoff. So they wanted to choose a name that was upmarket. So all these are about the name. So Bailey, they picked up a name called Bailey because it sounded like a European name. For example, Peter England is an Arvind Mill brand, but it looks very nice. Van Hoosen. So these are all Indian brands, but they look like foreign brands. So they picked up a name called Bailey. So please remember what Jack Ma had said. You should learn from your competitor. You should never copy and you'll die. So what they did was quickly they set up a distribution system. They added 11 more franchises. So the cost, and even though they did that, the cost of freight and handling was proving to be very, uh, very costly. And Parley was very smart. They had very good uh, logistics system. Parley was the competitor. So they were very smart. There was at that time they had varying sales, excise. So because the entry was easy, Bailey could enter. Franchises were required to set up PET bottle manufacturers. The the packaging, for example, bottles, pilferage proof caps accounted for 40%. So what they did was something very clever. The company went in for 500 ml packs, which will induce trials. So Bailey was the first to introduce um, smaller package, even though it was not very profitable. So they went in for the smaller ones and they made it very fashionable. People can put it in their backpacks. And the next thing what they did is they said, we will attack the customers directly. So they went and had tie-ups with caterers, and caterers, they Bailey salesmen did direct selling to get the ball rolling. So all this function halls, they all went to this marriage halls, marriage. So they established beautiful franchisee networks, and that too in inaccessible places like Guwahati, Palghar, Jaipur, Belgaum, which Parle was not at all going in. So they went in for bulk business. So Parle Agro devoted this energies to exploit non-traditional routes. For example, they went in for long-distance bus operators who would keep stocks of only Bailey. A small incentive was given. So what Bailey did was they did exactly opposite of what Parle was doing. It went in for places where there was bulk purchases going on, dabas, for example. So dabas were completely ignored by national level players. So they went in attack the dabas. The aggressive campaign of Bailey worked out, and now it's a very good what is a market challenger for Parle. Parle is distillery in several regions, including Maharashtra, Mumbai, Gujarat, West Bengal, Karnataka, and Goa. So what it did was it never went for any direct traditional advertising, which is very costly. They never did anything on TV, radio. They went in for non-traditional places. They concentrated more on franchises. As a low margin corporation, the company not invested much money in mass advertising, but they concentrated more on franchisee, building direct relationships, but has focused on educating customers on use of clean, hygienic water. And one thing I really appreciate was during our, even during my marriage also, the water that was supplied in the reception used to come in drums. And frequently people used to fall sick after consuming that water it was stored in the drums. In that way, I think they captured that market very much. And nowadays, if you go to any of the wedding receptions, you never see water being taken out of drums. It is all this 250 ml also. So they went in for promotions with Taj Hotels, Jet Airlines. Okay. So that is how it did. So I'm going to share this entire thing with you. And one small piece of information to the students. Madam was suggesting that Madam in her talk was saying that I also write a blog. I write a blog and there are almost 800 articles. So you could please go there and read those articles and always come back to me for any sort of clarifications. That is all, madam. Thank you very much. I kept to my deadline of 12:25.
Yes. Thank you so much, Anil.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you so much, Anil, and presenting wonderful cases. And as you said, it's like actually the quotation given by Professor Drucker while describing the importance of decision making. Professor Drucker said that if 70% of the decisions taken by an individual are successful, then you are a successful decision maker.
Absolutely, madam. Absolutely.
Because 100% success, it's maybe rare. I don't say that it's impossible, but it may be rare.
Thank you,
And really, you have actually depicted so many wonderful, colorful pictures of Indian traditional breakfast. And
maybe participants are feeling hungry already.
Wonderful. And the session, if any questions are there from the participants, so some 5 minutes we'll open the session for discussion. Participants?
Good morning, madam. I am Dr. Chandramouli. Good morning, Anil sir. A very nice explanation about the case study related to Maggie, Kellogg's, and everything. Just I have a question that how we have to counter the counter, particularly if you see the Bisleri is being misspelled and it is being marketed with the same color, same alphabets and font size.
Yes.
So how to counter this one? That is one of the major thing, because the illiterate people in villages generally they don't realize the original brand.
Absolutely.
So it may be a one case study also, sir.
Absolutely. In fact, you put the cat among the pigeons, as we say, because counterfeit products are a big problem, sir. So unfortunately, what happens is the only way is to educate the consumers. Recently, I was going to Kadapa and I saw yellow liquid in a Coke bottle. And I don't think there is anything more satirical, because we all know that Coke is always a somewhat blue-black in color. And companies, I think, are fighting a losing battle, Chandramouli garu. I think it is counterfeit products are a big problem. And in many cases, like in food and in these drinks, they can even pose health problems also. I think we need to have a three-pronged attack, which is the company should make their products maybe with some technology, RFID, or the consumer should also be more educated, and also the government should also come in and try to impose penalties on these people very seriously, because what you raised is a problem that Indian FMCG faces, and nearly 40% of products are all fake products. So this is a huge problem, and we don't have any ready-made solutions. I think all of us have to be vigilant, and like madam was saying, in economics, we say caveat emptor, buyer beware. So before you are buying anything, we should be very careful and exercise our rights. And if you find that anything is not up to the mark, simply take that bottle and report it to the consumer forum. And I think we need to be very vigilant, especially when you're buying anything for children, milk, Farex, water. I think we need to be very careful and we need to be vigilant. And I'm sorry, the compliance of the law is very, very low in India. So lots of time mineral water gets heavily contaminated. So there are a lot of people now who feel that I will not drink mineral water from the market at all, and I'll only take water from the home and use it. So everybody his own.
Madam, thank you, sir. Thank you to the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open City Department of Business Management, Kiran Mai Madam, and Professor Anand Pawar Garu. So I'm very happy to be the part of this webinar, the workshop. I am very lucky to listen to the expertise person, Dr. Anil sir. Thank you,
Chandramouli garu.
Thank you, sir.
So if any more questions are there, actually after all the technical sessions, again, we'll have an interaction session with all the resource persons, and the resource persons will join. If anybody want to interact with them, you can interact later also. And somebody is asking for the blog of Anil, we'll share it to the group.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll share your blog details.
We'll take it at 4:30. I'll listen to it, and because the next teacher, I'm sure, is anxious, is already maybe half an hour.
Yes. Madam has already joined. Yeah, thank you, Anil.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and shared your experience.
It is a pleasure. I always feel it is my home university.
Thank you.